If you look on your agenda, it might say UHPC and MDOT, outreach to local agencies. UHPC is going to be part of this presentation, but I really wanted to focus on MDOT and how we reach out to our local agencies. First off, the MDOT Structure Maintenance Support Unit that I'm the manager of, we're the maintenance resource for the entire state, whether you are one of our regional partners in Michigan, DOT, or if you're a local agency, county, city, village, anyone. We'll help you develop standards and specifications for bridge preservation projects, provide technical support. We'll help you investigate new materials and methods for bridge preservation. We'll help you do some design and detail of some complex maintenance repairs. Also, we're the liaison for the state for all of our industry partners for bridge preservation, and we develop training modules for the state, and we support our local agencies with training as well. We have what's called wildly important goals in Michigan. As an overall state, our wildly important goal was for innovation, but my specific area's wildly important goal for the last 2 years has been to focus more on local agency outreach and to help get them up to speed on bridge preservation methods. So like I said, we partner with local agencies, we train local agencies. We also do this thing, it just says up there, employee swaps. And what that means is in the summertime, a local agency in some areas of Michigan can send their workers to work on our bridge crews, and we pay their salary for the summer. And then in the winter, we send some of our bridge crews to their garage to help them plow snow. So that's how we kind of go back and forth with that. But that brings actual hands-on field experience in a very easy way back to the local agencies. Because a lot of their challenges they have is they just see bridge preservation as being something that is too scary for them to do. They don't even want to touch it, you know, and I try to get out in the field as much as I can with them to explain the simple things they can do to extend the life of their bridges. Michigan, we have 83 county local agency bridge owners, and we have 261 different bridge owners that are village, city, or township. Local agency owned structures in Michigan. There's 6,600 highway bridges. In Michigan, our Constitution says that we have to, we call it a bridge if it goes all the way down to 10 feet. So local agencies have another 69 that are less than 20. They also have highway tunnels and 64 pedestrian bridges. In Michigan, our Constitution says we have to inspect anything over or carrying road traffic. So pedestrian bridges, railroad bridges, everything has to be inspected by the state or local agencies. Just in comparison, the state of Michigan, MDOT itself only owns, I believe, about 6,000 bridges. So we have less than the local agencies. Local agency owned structures, they have 977 that are structurally deficient, and they have nearly 2,000 decks rated fair, superstructures rated fair, or substructures rated fair. And I want to teach them how to focus on those fair rated bridges to make sure that they're not falling into that structural deficient category. Michigan, we started doing this strategy in 1998. You can see in 1998, this graph here shows in 1998, Michigan had 140 bridges for the first time fall into structurally deficient category from either good or fair. And we've been able to reduce that trend of how many new bridges we have going into our structural deficient inventory every year since then, down to, this graph goes to 2016, where we had about only 30 bridges fall into the structurally deficient category. And that's just from having a very solid bridge preservation strategy. Prior to 1998, we were a worse first state, and we didn't do much for maintenance. Actually, every year we have to, as part of this goal, every year we get to, our regional bridge engineers have to explain to our upper management how they are going to keep every bridge rated a 5 from falling into the structurally deficient category as one of their focuses. We also support our local agencies. We let their inspectors go on our under-bridge inspection unit. We'll help them with their emergency response if they have a problem, and we'll support them in bridge inspection. And we don't charge them anything for that. Local agency training, last year our LTAP puts on an annual conference every year for the local agencies to come to, and the topic is for 2 days, and it's nothing but bridge inspection, bridge construction, bridge case studies. And last year they asked me to come in for the day one and do 8 hours of presentations on bridge maintenance. So I got in a room full of probably 250 local agency members, and was able to give them full days training on simple things they can do to maintain their bridges, how to do joints, how to clean joints, the benefits of just getting the dirt off your bridge and your bearings, and the benefits of just simple preservation activities that if we went out to our local agency bridges, we actually wouldn't see them doing. You know, a lot of them, their sidewalks are covered in dirt and they just sit there and wet, and the chlorides just sit there on the sidewalks all year, and they start to deteriorate, and they don't even realize what that's doing to their bridges. We'll also help local agency in scoping. We had a Missaukee County Road Commissioner give me a call. He was in a panic because his inspector, his consultant inspector, lowered his deck rating on one of his bridges from a 6 to a 4, and he thought it was a pretty good bridge. So he was in a panic as to, you know, why this is going on and what he can do to make sure it doesn't stay structurally deficient, because he really had no idea. So we met him out in the field, and you know, the inspector was basically, it's an adjacent box beam bridge, and the inspector comments said it had severe map cracking and heavy spalls at both joints. But the bridge was so small that that percentage of the deck warranted probably a 4. And so we actually hooked him up with one of our regional bridge crews and got his crew together with our bridge crews to help him replace the joints and put a thin epoxy overlay on that bridge deck for him, and showed him how, you know, simple it actually is to repair something like this. And that bridge is no longer on their structurally deficient list. And when I say these people have no idea what they're doing, there's a lot of local agency bridge owners out there. Maybe I came across bad. Here's a funny story. Our head inspection engineer for the state actually had to call a local agency. She was an elementary school teacher. Had to pull her out of a classroom and tell her she had a bridge inspection that was late, and she didn't even know she had a bridge. So I mean, sometimes that can be your local agency bridge owner. So some of these people really do get into a panic and think bridges are scary. We also help out with a lot of product trials. This is where I'm going to talk about UHPC a little bit. MDOT's had a lot of challenges with UHPC. The first trial project we tried to do, we specified Lafarge, and the general contractor submitted a value engineering change proposal that completely got rid of the UHPC because it was so expensive, and MDOT actually accepted it even though we wanted to try it. But I'm not too familiar with why we accepted the value engineering change proposal. So our first trial project in Michigan for UHPC, we actually didn't use it. We didn't use it until our second trial. We tried to use a non-proprietary mix developed by the University of Michigan for us in research, but at the time of the project, they were unable to get their laboratory batch size upscaled to a practical field batch size. And so midstream in the project, we actually hired Lafarge to come out and do the UHPC for us. But within another year, UofM had actually perfected their batching and their sequencing and their UHPC mix design. And this is where we landed on our UHPC mix design. And this one we were able to actually get into a large enough quantity to batch in the field. A little bit after UofM was able to come up with that UHPC mix design, the St. Clair County Road Commissioner gave us a call and said they had a bridge with adjacent double T's superstructure where the joints between the double T's had completely deteriorated and leaked, because all they'd ever had on it was an HMA overlay with no membrane. It was built in 1989, and they asked us, you know, what can we do to fix this? Can you give us a hand? And, you know, in Michigan, a traditional fix for that would be a latex modified concrete, but we thought that this would be a great opportunity to try the mix that UofM had developed and said they could get to batch in the field. So we went forward with using UofM's ultra-high performance concrete mix design for this project, and we also took advantage of, as long as we had all of these non-proprietary materials that could easily be bought on the open market out there. We took advantage of this situation to when we were done with UofM's first mix design, they wanted to actually field batch trial several other mix designs. So now we have more than one that we can evaluate. So this is just another picture of the bridge. It's a typical, DOT experiment, though. There is actually more DOT employees there than can fit on the bridge. For this UHPC trial, UofM wanted us to, you can see it's a full depth. These bolts right here are supporting the forms that are underneath the T-beams. And over here, these are clamped down to the ground to clamp down to the deck. These will be clamped down to the deck after the UHPC is poured, and then we filled these buckets with UHPC to actually give like a little bit of a pressure head and try and squeeze it into as many of the crevices as we could. You can see here it took an army of co-ops and buckets and wheelbarrows and measuring devices. It felt like a big chemistry project out there. And the co-ops were loving it because it's just like their labs they have in college. Here we are just dumping in and batching things. And they built this, the St. Clair County Road Commission built this little bucket here to help them transfer the concrete from the wheelbarrow into the slot there without spilling too much. So our experience with UHPC, the whole project went really well. I didn't get real technical in this presentation. You can read all about the UHPC mix design UofM came up with on our website. It's SPR 1637. And if you want to Google it, the whole entire project that we did with St. Clair County is in the January 2018 Concrete International magazine. UofM wrote an article for that. As I said before, we also do lots of trial products for these local agencies. And not to let a good opportunity go to waste, we decided at this same bridge we did the UHPC on, before they put back an HMA overlay, we wanted to trial a spray applied membrane. So we rolled two actual trial projects into this one project. Another type of thing I've helped local agencies with, this is an actual MDOT bridge. This is a US 2 roadside park in Nobbinway. It's a timber superstructure comprised of 2x12 timbers nailed together. It's a nail laminated structure. So nail laminated. They start out really well. They perform really well for a little while. And this is what they look like. But this is what they start to look like after a couple of years. The wood and the moisture kind of expanding and contracting backs out all the nails, and these bridges start to grow. In 2011, one of our inspectors was out inspecting the bridge. A truck drove over it, and he had an oh my God as he saw how much the bridge deflected. And he decided to do a load test on it. And this is when we discovered it was actually deflecting quite a bit. It's only a 20-foot span, I believe, or 24-foot span. It deflected 3/4 of an inch. And that was just with a 2,000-gallon water truck sitting on it. And this bridge is going to be seeing lots of logging trucks in the UP just completely loaded as high as they can stack it. So how do you fix this? And I'm not going to tell you. That's my next presentation today. It was just my teaser. Michigan only has one nail laminated superstructure, timber superstructure that MDOT owns, but our local agencies have hundreds of these. So at our LTAP conference, I gave a presentation on this. And at the next presentation I give, you'll see how we fix this and how, since that LTAP conference, the local agencies have been engaging me to fix their bridges with similar problems. Because, like I said, they have actually hundreds of these in their inventory because they're real cheap and they're real small.
Quite impressive that you guys do so much work directly with the locals. In fact, even have your employees work with them. In Oregon, we've done some of that, but it's only when they can do like overtime kind of a thing, and then they'll go and do a small project. Did you guys actually go to like legislature and get some additional positions with the promise that you will do more support to local agencies?
No. The legislature doesn't even know that I do this.
This is being recorded.
I know. Well, they're not going to watch it, but
so
we don't.
On your state inventory, are you guys caught up enough then so that you don't have a real challenge with pulling them off of state projects to help?
We have, our state has 7 regions. Each region has probably 2 bridge crews, 1 to 2 bridge crews, and they're only 4-person crews, sometimes 5-person crews. So they can't do a lot, but we do try to help the local agencies when we can. I mean, we're not doing it a lot. And like I said, a lot of the help we give them is just my unit going out and guiding them through the process and guiding them through, you know, what's going on with their bridge. One thing that didn't make my presentation recently was they just called me out to the bridge and say, hey, we have this distress on this adjacent box beam bridge. We don't know what's going on. The bridge is only 20 years old. And I said, well, have you guys heard of ASR? And they're like, no. So I explained to them what it was, and we actually, MDOT sent out our geologist out to their bridge, took samples, and discovered that their bridge was suffering from a severe ASR. And they were able, by that interaction we were able to have with them, they were able to secure funding to get that bridge replaced, even though it was only 20 years old.
The T-beam bridge that you showed with the full depth repair and closure pours that you did with the UHPC, you then put a spray-on membrane, and I just wondered what your plan, or if there's a plan to evaluate what that membrane is doing, or what, I guess, what you expect to see without any, you know, now that you've closed up your longitudinal joints.
Well, I guess you can still see the longitudinal joints from the underneath. If the UHPC is functioning the way it is supposed to be, you should not see reflective cracking in the HMA. And if the membrane is acting as it should, you should not see any more water wetness underneath the bridge during a rain event.
Why are you experimenting on the local bridges, and who pays for it?
I'm helping local agencies, and this was an opportunity to experiment with one of our products. We saw it as a benefit to us, to MDOT, to prove that we could batch this ourselves in the field. I mean, because we batched this with our employees in the field, and it was a successful UHPC trial. We paid for it. We paid for the UHPC product because we actually already owned a bunch of it through our research project with the University of Michigan. The St. Clair County Road Commission paid for their asphalt overlay and their waterproofing membrane, but we helped them out with the product trial, and we're helping them out with the monitoring, because that also was a benefit to us to know that, you know, they've tried that product and it works on their bridge, and it could be a viable HMA membrane for us as well.
The local, the LTAP bridge conference that you guys do, and you said that's just, I mean, how long is it, and is it just bridge related items for the local agencies? And in that, are you guys, you know, preaching preservation and all that? In Alabama, you know, same situation. We try to help out the local agencies a lot, and I think we've got them understanding why preservation is important, but that's next step of actually doing anything about it, you know, is what we're struggling with. So I was just wondering if any successes you've had trying to convince them to start doing that kind of thing.
You want to know what successes we've had in convincing local agencies to preserve, or?
Well, also, and just talk about the LTAP Bridge Conference that you guys have for that, and just if you notice an attitude change, or have they actually started implementing preservation projects at all, or just?
Well, our LTAP Bridge Conference is every year, and it is a 2-day conference that talks about, every year it's a different topic. The first day they want to give count as recurrent training. So there's bridge maintenance one year, bridge load rating, bridge inspection. And then the second day is kind of similar every year in that they go through the state of affairs of the local agency inventory, and the FHWA presents on stuff, and MDOT presents on the budget, and then they give a lot of case studies on previous year's projects. Are we seeing them invest more? Not necessarily. It's kind of hard to get them to the way the match money comes in, it's kind of hard to convince them to spend money on preservation out of their own dollars when they're not getting matched for it. And you know, when they get matched, you know, almost, I mean, ridiculous match on federal funds for bigger projects, they usually go for that kind of stuff. But some agencies have embraced it, like the county, St. Clair County, where we did the UHPC project. They, in the past 5 years, have actually started their own bridge crew where they hadn't had one before, so.
The preceding was produced by the National Center for Pavement Preservation. More information can be found on the web at pavementpreservation.org. Additional support provided by Michigan State University.